Hey guys. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Fresh Friday. This should be all good now. Fingers crossed.
It's Groundhog Day.
It's Groundhog Day.
That's what we like to call it.
So, exactly. So, welcome to this episode of Fresh Friday.
Yes.
My name's Liam, and I'm joined by the lovely Gaz in his brand new studio this week.
Pumped, mate. It's good to be back. Good to be in here. And welcome back, might I say, Liam. Last week, it was a bit depressing without you on stream, I've got to say. But Matt did fill...
Is that a little bit of an insult?
No, Matt did fill
Matt,
your shoes. He's also got a very stunning beard as well, so that did help. You know, I'm a fan of the beard. But yeah, how are you feeling, mate? Are you back?
Let's try that. Yeah, in other words, I'm feeling a lot better, to be honest. I'm feeling top of my game now, which is good. It's taken a week, maybe two actually, but it's good to be back. I feel good to be back. That should be better now.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, it's no COVID though.
No COVID. That's the positive. I did have the symptoms of, but everything is all good. Damien Reed, welcome to the stream. Hopefully you can hear us loud and clear. Let us know.
Yeah, chat, let us know.
Yeah.
Chat's going to have to be a helping hand here because whatever's going on in the world of technology, it's all happening right now. It's all happening on Friday.
Gonna need another drink.
You will need another drink.
Yep.
But yeah, life is good. I hope everybody out there is safe and well. And thank you for joining us. We're going to jump into it, aren't we?
We are indeed. So for those of you that have joined us on our Fresh Friday, just to let you know what they're all about, Fresh Friday is about giving you the latest tips on everything, marketing, social media, fans, brand. We've got everything. And we've got an exciting lineup of guests for our first season of Fresh Friday. And today, we're going to be talking about authentic content with a very special guest that we've been working with. And as we spoke earlier on, since myself and Gaz have set up Fresh Movement, we've had the pleasure of meeting some of the people that are very similar to the way that we think. And we sort of gravitate towards these people a little bit more and work with them a little bit more. And yeah, it's exciting. And we're very excited to bring those people right here. So all we ask from you is if you've got any questions, any concerns or anything, let us know in chat and we'll get your questions answered and sort of go from there. So, should we jump in, Gaz? Am I allowed to bring in our very special guest?
Yeah, jump in and hope everybody enjoys the stream.
Yeah, so Gareth will be in chat, so make sure you put your questions there and we'll get them all sorted. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to introduce the one and only Jack Gaisford. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Very, very well indeed. I'm ready for the live stream.
Yeah, and I do love your background because it screams video, and that's what you're all about.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. I've set it up especially for the stream to show that everyone I do video. So yeah, it's looking good. It's all blurred out, but it's looking good.
No, it does look good. It does look good. So thank you so much for joining us, mate. It's great to have you here. I know we've spoken for a very long time about doing something like this, and today's the day. You're on the live stream. You're here with us, and hopefully we're going to talk about some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fan of the stuff that you guys do, of the content that you put out. So yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, mate. Before we do jump in, I know you went to go get a second drink, but what is your second drink? We haven't driven you to the Jägermeister, have we?
No, you haven't driven me to the Jaeger just yet. I actually got a second orange squash. So letting the team down yet again. I know.
No.
Boring.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Not a problem at all. As long as you're comfortable, that is the main thing. That is the main thing. So before we jump in to talk about the subject, do you want to give the guys and girls watching a little bit of info about what you do with V21 and what it's all about, first of all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm 23 years old. I run a video marketing agency called V21 based in London. The whole point behind it is it's the whole thing around making a single piece of content and marketing it on social media is just not the way anymore. And I set the business up to try and change that and to try and prove that actually making regular content, whether that's live streams or podcasts or vlogs or behind the scenes video content and things like that, that's the future of video content. It's producing it at scale. It's producing stuff that people actually want to watch, not the boring client testimonial video that you filmed 2 years ago. Nobody cares about that anymore. So that was my reason for setting up the business. I make a ton of content personally on social media, so I practice what I preach. And I feel thankful that I'm now in the position where, without tooting my own horn, I'm kind of seen as this this authority figure in the video space, especially on LinkedIn. We're starting to do a bit more on Instagram and a bit more content on YouTube and tutorials and stuff like that. But it's nice to see that just by practicing what I preach and making regular content every single week without fail for the last 2.5 years, that it definitely works. So yeah, that's kind of where I am currently.
It's so true, because the thing is, this is how we met you, right? Like we were on LinkedIn. I think it was the time we actually were leaving our roles and in the process of setting up Fresh Movement. And Gareth goes, "Oh, you need to check out this dude. Like his video content is great, and he sort of like sings the same things we sing, like, you know." And then here we are. Now we're working together. Like we're working on a couple of projects together, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, content works. It really does work. And there's some things, and I won't go too geeky and bore all the viewers, but there's some things that you can't track. And sometimes they're actually the most powerful, but you just have to give them a go. And for me, that's building trust. That's building relationships with people in my industry or you guys or other clients that we work with. You know, they're long-term relationships, and they aren't gained from a single piece of content on your website. They're gained by producing educational content, something that's entertaining, something that's valuable and informative every single week, and that's exactly what I've done. So yeah, it's great to be on and finally do a live stream with you guys.
Yeah, it's so true where you say about like you just know it's working. Like there are those things in time that you cannot track and you cannot put your finger on it. You've just got that gut feeling that it's working, and if people are coming to your door and you're speaking to more people, it's working, right?
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's definitely something that sort of the SMBs or the smaller businesses do, just because they're happy to test that sort of stuff out. You wouldn't see Apple or Coca-Cola making regular educational content on LinkedIn or Instagram just because they don't need to. They've got a brand there, and that's what sets them apart from everybody else trying to do the same thing. Whereas in marketing or when you're smaller, you do have a lot more competition. I think that you've definitely got to try and make a different noise in quite a saturated space, and really just to give and not expect anything in return, because more often that actually returns a lot more. But it's very hard to track that. You know, a lot of people justify investing in content because you can track the demographic data, you can track the location or the age or the conversion rate or the reach and stuff like that. Whereas you can do that with the content, but most of the time it's put it out, give it away for free, and it does wonders. But yeah, that's what we do.
That's good. That's good. Now, before we dive into like some of the questions we're going to ask about authentic content, I'm curious to know how you got into video. Like, how did it all start? The reason I ask is because I did media at college. Like I fell into media. I failed at maths, and I was like, yeah, I can. I couldn't stand in front of a camera. It literally put me in front of the camera where I had to be able to. I was a very shy person. What was your journey? How did you get into the video and then starting up your own thing? Like, what was that like?
Really great question. I started out, I guess, if you want to call it that, on YouTube when I was, I think, 12 or 13 years old. I've been doing it 13 years old. I was making gaming vlogs and walkthroughs on the first Call of Duties that came out. So it kind of started there, really. Went to school, studied media again. I didn't do very good at maths, which is funny. So there's obviously something alike. And then I went to uni, studied graphic design, just because I thought I was a creative, and I thought that it would be a great industry to go into, that you'd have a lot of creative control and a lot of flexibility to do what you want as a designer. But I soon realized that actually you're stuck to guidelines, you're stuck to rules and regulations and process. So I didn't enjoy that, and I just decided to give it a go. I mean, looking back, my first video was filmed on an old iPhone 6S. I didn't charge for it. That's just what I was making at the time. I was just using what I had, and it was definitely working. And then I just thought, yeah, like people are really interested in this. I'm going to start to invest in the company and see where it goes. And 2.5 years later, we're working with tens of clients. We're working with global brands. I'm making regular content on social that gets a lot of attention. So yeah, it's super, super exciting to see, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future. But what about you? What did you study in media?
Oh,
What was like?
it was literally
top
like
thing?
The thing is, I fell into media, so we were just I can't even remember exactly what the subjects were, but all I remember making was lots of crappy music videos and lots of crappy like documentaries
Yeah.
for like some bands or something. And
Yeah.
we made this like thing called Totally Wild, which was like a like those nature programs. We had this down in Yeovil, where I'm from. There was this little nature park called Nine Springs, and we went down there and pretended there were like crocodiles and giraffes and shit. And we got in the water and we went around looking for all the nine springs. It's crazy, but yeah, it was good. Like I definitely enjoyed doing it. And to be honest, I was the same, where I got into video like that too. Like I started with gaming. It's crazy how it's very similar to how a lot of people start from what I've seen.
Weird,
so.
isn't it? Yeah, and you're seeing a massive increase in the younger generation starting up their own businesses now. You're seeing solo entrepreneurs in their teens. Like that's unheard of, especially when I was a teenager. Nobody had set up their own business.
No.
It seems to have only come into fruition the sort of the last 5 years or so. But often these creatives start in the YouTube space, start gaming, start making vlogs or just stupid videos, just because it's expressive and it just allows you to test a few things out, I guess. And yeah, but that's cool to hear that you kind of started out a similar thing, because I know that you're a big gamer. Do you do them now? Do you run a game that you don't know about?
Well, I do the occasional bit of streaming, but
Okay.
I stopped doing video literally just because I know how time consuming it is. Now, what's really interesting, maybe I'll ask you about this. Like, I used to edit a lot of video in my previous role, and I used to get so wound up where I would make a creative decision, which I thought was completely right, and then the client goes, I don't want that. I want the shitter version of it, but they thought it was better. Like, how do you deal with that? Because you must get that a lot. It would drive me nuts.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's with any industry though. You know, people come to you because you're the expert, but tell you how to do your job. That's just,
so
just
true.
what happens with every industry. Though it always makes me laugh. But yeah, naturally, I think it depends on what sort of brand you're trying to build, really. But I value those relationships, and I don't think that there's anything that my clients can do that I would say no to, as long as it's not, pornographic material or something like that. But yeah, it's they're paying for it at the end of the day, and you've got to provide a good service. And even if you disagree with it sometimes in terms of how you execute the creative part, you kind of have to do it. But it's a process of showing them the right way to do it, I think. I say a test. If you want to make that decision, absolutely go for it. This is your money. You're investing this into the content. But let me just try something and show you that actually this could work as another option. So it's all good. It's all through practice. That's all it is.
That's good. That's good. And I guess once you understand the client a bit more as well, it helps with it, right? Like you just start to get on the same wavelength and stuff.
Exactly. Totally.
Anyway, that was good. I it's really interesting to see your journey and these little similarities we have.
Yeah,
it's really nice. Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, to the subject around like authentic content. Like I know we've had many of conversations around authentic content. Like I think one of the first times we had a conversation about it, it was kind of a little bit of a surprise to me because you were literally saying all of the stuff that was in my head before we even worked together, and I was like, "What the hell? This guy gets it! Like, what is the importance of like authentic content in your eyes?"
Oh, that's such a big question. I guess the short answer would be that I feel like we're definitely stepping into the times of transparency and ethical business practice. And I think that people have always bought from people. Even conversations, as a society, we're now talking about mental health a lot more. We're very open with how we feel, and we're not afraid to express that. And I think that builds relationships much stronger, and I would actually say much faster, just putting yourself out there and being completely open. I'm not saying to show what you eat every single meal every single day, or what time you go to bed, or your makeup routine and things like that. I'm just saying be yourself on camera, or just treat it like you would talk to somebody else in person, because it's I've always said this. It's like close friends. Everybody has a close friend. You might have 10, you might have one, but that friend or those friends have been built over a long period of time, and you've disagreed, you've argued, you've fallen out, you've gone for 100 pints, you've had all these experiences together, but it's all authentic, and you've never put a facade on, you've never had to sell to them, but they're close relationships, and that's how I feel business should be done. That's how the best business is done, when you really know a person and you can kind of habitually understand just what works for them, what they want. With you guys, I've got a good grasp of your personalities, and I feel that helps our work professionally, just because we can make good content together. We think the same, we act the same, we have very similar interests. So I know that what we're going to do for you guys would work really well. So yeah, being authentic in anything that you do, I think, is really important. And it's long term, you can't have multiple characters. You'll end up losing track. So be yourself. It will keep your brand and your message consistent, and it will build those relationships much faster. So yeah.
It is interesting, isn't it? Because you do see, like, I've spoken to a lot of people who have like met YouTubers, or actually had the pleasure of meeting like one of their favorite celebrities, and they're not who they are in the video. Like, and that must be such a shock, because you sort of have, like, for example, if I think of like Dwayne Johnson, like The Rock, I consume a lot of his content. I have the impression that he is a super cool, down-to-earth dude who is just got a heart of gold, right? And if I met him and he wasn't like that, I think I'd actually feel violated. Like, do you know what I mean?
Totally. And I think it goes back to the transparency and sort of ethical practice that we're in now. It will kind of, I feel like people hide behind things like materialism and other things to kind of be socially accepted. Things like Instagram a couple of years ago, it's still kind of like it now, but everything is photoshopped, everything is manipulated, everything's like the best part of your life. I went traveling a couple of years ago, and it's completely different to how it's portrayed on social media. It's not amazingly colorful vegan food bowls. It's not blue waters in Bali. It's sweating. You've got no food. You're traveling for 50 hours. It's horrible. But you only show the best bits. So my ethos really is to show the bad bits, because actually being open and being transparent makes people trust you more, because it's normal and it's relatable and it's what everybody goes through. So talk about it. I think it's so important.
Do you think there's harm in not doing it? Like, for example, let's say we took that Dwayne Johnson example and applied it to a brand. Let's say the brand was coming across as like super cool, super fun, super casual, your best friend type of thing. And then you almost went to like an event or something, and it was like corporate, suited and tie. Do you think people actually make their content look different to what they actually are?
Absolutely.
To make them look better.
Absolutely. And again, it's trying to be socially accepted. It's trying to fit into what you think people want. It might be, we all show off from time to time. We're all, we like to show the best bits. But again, it's like when you lie. It will always come out. The truth will always come out at some point. So I think it's when you're building a business, I feel strongly that you've kind of got to incorporate your own ethics and your morals and your values into the core part of that business, because it will change. If you believe that you've got to be authentic and transparent, then your brand's going to be authentic and transparent. If you feel that actually you want to really look the part, even though you're not very confident that you can actually do that, or you're completely opposite person, then that's always going to come out, and that will hurt it in the long run. It's like if I'm trying to think of a brand analogy. It's like if Coca-Cola came out And after making years and years of amazing drinks, they actually said, "Oh, we've hated making these. This is just not us. We were going to go into strong alcohol. Like it would be, they built that brand up. So that was a terrible example.
Well, yeah, the Santa at Christmas is now going to be coming in on like some sort of beer wagon.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like it's just not right.
Exactly. So you've got to. I believe you've got to be authentic, and you've just got to be yourself. And it'll do wonders for your business.
What would you say to? Because of course I know, like I speak to a lot of streamers, and a lot of advice I see on Twitter is like, "Oh, like be yourself." Like what? It may sound daft, but like, what tips would you almost give someone to be themselves? Because I think when everyone stands in front of a camera and to create content, they almost put this face on, this layer, but it's almost like, how many layers do you put on? Like what? Because of course, there's some people out there that are just stone cold boring. There's some people out there that have so much charisma, but someone who's stone cold boring to some people might be interesting to other people. So, like, what top tip would you give to someone about being themselves? That's a really. I'm not expecting you to come up with an answer. Like, it's a little bit of a weird one.
Such a good question. Such a good one. And I genuinely would have to say it's just patience. It really is just patience. You know, when I first started making content, I was terrible. Some of the clients, and they'll admit this themselves, when they start making content, they're awful. But it just comes with practice and patience. That the more you make, the more that you test, the more that you create, the easier that process comes. I always use the analogy of it's like driving a car for the first time when you have your lessons as a teenager. You start your first lesson, you get into this car, and you've got 6 gears and an R on your left and a wheel with about 100 million different buttons that you can press, and it's scary and you stall it all the time because you don't know how it works. That makes you feel anxious and you get worked up and really hot and flustered. But on your 40th lesson, once you've had 40 hours of being in a car, it's habitual. You do it instinctively. You don't even think about it. It's just fluent and it just works. And it's the same thing with content. It's just time. It's an alien process. To sit in front of a camera and look at a lens and be yourself is really weird. It's so abnormal because it doesn't happen in a normal day to day. You're putting yourself in that situation, but the more you do it, and I think it's when you also see the benefit of content and you see the support that you can get, especially on platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook. They are supportive, and I think that when you see it working, it makes you feel more confident that actually, yeah, this is the right thing to do. Next time I'm going to make something else and give some support or give some educational content to them as well. So it's definitely patience. It's trusting the process, I think is what I'm going for there.
It's so true. And I think a lot of people, like, it's one of those things you've definitely got to keep going at it as well. Like, a lot of people start something, like I've been guilty of this myself. Like, I started my YouTube channel like 10 years ago. And I put heart and soul into 4 or 5 videos, which I thought were great at the time. And I watch back now and they're completely shocking. Funny though, entertaining to watch because they're so bad.
Yeah.
And you gotta keep going. And I guess like it's just so difficult because you don't get the instant gratification. You don't get that shot of dopamine going, yes, I just got 1 million views, because that never happens like in your first few videos, right? This is something that comes over years and years of practice and, you know, talent, essentially.
Yeah, it's hit the nail on the head. I mean, I could ask you the question of why do you guys do live streams for? Why do you guys make content every week? Why do you do it?
Yeah. The main thing for us is definitely around like the authenticity. Like, we love being able to speak to people in chat. If stuff goes wrong, stuff goes wrong. It's real. Like, you're not seeing a lens of Fresh Movement. You're not seeing a lens of Liam and Gaz. You're seeing exactly how we are, and that's the big thing for me. Like, you know, if people want to fall in love with your brand and become fans of you, they've got to fall in love with the right version of you, which is yourself. Like, it's no masks, no nothing. It is how you are. So it's a really interesting one. Really interesting.
Totally agree with you guys. Totally agree.
That's really cool. So I do have a couple of questions because I am just curious. Like, you do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. You create a lot of LinkedIn content. Very cool content, I might say. I do enjoy watching your content. What would you, out of all the platforms there are, you look at like YouTube, you've got stuff like LinkedIn, you've got Facebook, you've got TikTok, you've got Vimeo, those type of things. Like, what would you say are the key differences between some of those major platforms, and like what content sits on what? Because I think a lot of people just go bleh, and they go spit it everywhere, but that's not the right thing to do, I think. But what are your thoughts?
No, I agree, not at all. I think that's what a lot of people, and it's influenced by a lot of creators on YouTube who adopt that method of content marketing. It's that they'll film a live stream, they'll cut it up into 30 pieces of content and just post it everywhere and hope that people like it, just to reach more people and get more attention on your brand. But I really feel strongly when I say that you've got to be specific, you've got to be contextual when you're making content, you've got to be speaking to the right people. Each platform lends itself to reaching a different market. If you are a business and you cater to B2B, then LinkedIn is a great one. It's just B2B people on there. It's a lot of recruiters, it's a lot of digital marketers, a lot of experts and professionals who just like to learn new things and support one another. If you're e-commerce, or if you're a younger generation or a bit more of a creative brand and a bit more expressionate, then Instagram's a great one as well. Limiting yourself to 60-second videos on the feed or different type of format for that content's great. Again, TikTok's up and coming. I feel like a lot of people knock TikTok just because it's used by a lot of the younger generation, but we're seeing a lot of businesses actually put ads on there and speak directly to those people. So it is viable. I would never discount a platform just because you haven't given it a go. I think test it on everything, and just again, it's you've got to do your research on it. You've got to know who you're talking to, who your market is, what age they are, what race they are, what gender, where they live, what content they like. If you're targeting 15-year-old females who play Fortnite, then make content that they enjoy. It's as simple as that. It's simple to say, but it's hard to execute. But yeah, there's a platform for everything. And I mean, I've got a question really for you guys. I watch a lot of YouTube content all the time. I mean, I live on YouTube. It's like it's I don't even watch general TV anymore. What do you think could be the next platform? Like, what do you think it would be a mixture between? Because obviously we've now got TikTok, which is a mixture kind of between Vine and Musical.ly. Twitch and all the other streaming platforms are kind of more or less the same, but there's nothing really that beats YouTube. YouTube is, like, for me anyway, the pinnacle platform. It's what everybody is on. It's the second biggest search engine in the world. What do you guys think would be the next big thing? Big question.
It's tough because I do think something like TikTok plays a massive part, personally, because of the short form content. Like, I think a lot of people have shorter attention spans. They want quicker hits of content. So I think that plays a big part. But then also I think when I look at the streaming element as well, like Twitch is great, but YouTube is the king of video, but YouTube just doesn't optimize live that well. When it does, you're not going to go anywhere else. Like, because we've seen since COVID's happened, the amount of people that have picked up live streaming is astronomical. People are doing online quizzes every weekend. There's people setting up their bands in their front garden live streaming, like really, really authentic. Like, it looks cool, right? Like, people are doing more of it, and I think that's the thing, right? Like, people are going to be doing more live, but then where does it go? Because realistically, I think the live platforms need a bit of work, really, because YouTube's not optimized, but it gives the best quality. Facebook is probably the most standard, but only does 720p. So it's kind of like we're waiting for this. Twitch is great, but it's mainly for gaming, but there are other things there. So it's kind of like, where's this live stream platform that is just about live no matter what? Like, that's the thing that's missing in my mind.
There was one called I think it was called Periscope. It came out a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys remember it. Oh, right, okay. Have they adopted it then with Twitter?
Yeah, you can still use it now.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, wow. I thought it completely died. That shows my my level of live streaming. But that was kind of, I felt like that was an up and coming live platform, but I thought it was standalone.
No, it's actually now been purchased by Twitter. So yeah.
Oh wow!
We know about live streaming, people. That's what we do. We're good at that. We're good at that.
I don't know about live streaming at all.
No, it's all
so
good, it's all good.
yeah.
So we've only got a couple more questions before we wrap
Okay.
up. I do want to know, what is your favorite video platform right now? What is the one that you're backing? Like, what is your go-to? You've already mentioned YouTube. Is that what you're going for? Like, is that where you?
Yeah, definitely. I think number one is always going to be YouTube. I've been brought up around it. I used to make content on it. I always go back to it. So yeah, definitely YouTube. I think the other one, Tin, just because it's so underutilized at the moment. And I feel like just not many people are making content on it. So there's a massive opportunity here to leverage and take advantage of if you are a business or if you're a personal brand or an influencer to make content on it. Naturally, it's going to be a little bit more professional. I'm not saying suit and tie and three-piece outfit. I'm just talking a bit more sort of a bit more educational, a bit more value giving, I guess. But yeah, I would say top platforms are definitely LinkedIn and YouTube for sure. And I like Instagram though as well. I find myself flicking through Instagram during the day. I don't really make a lot of stuff on it, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, it's I'm a bit the same, but Instagram for me is just about observing. I don't personally create a lot. We do quite a lot with some people, but that's an interesting one. So I have a question for you around. Of course, we focus quite a lot on fans here at Fresh Movement. Like, who are you like a massive fan of, and who's super inspired you? Because whoever it is, we would love to get them on the stream. So you can name who you want, and we'll do our best to get them on. Because of course, if we get them on, that's going to make you feel good because you're going to get something from them, right? You're going to be able to ask them a question. So who's like super inspired you, and who are you a massive fan of?
On anything
whatsoever,
limited,
yeah, anything.
Oh, okay, that's a big question. I could say the classics like a Casey Neistat or a Gary Vaynerchuk, but they're too standard. I need someone who's like underground. I'm trying to think now.
Underground's good.
There's a chap on YouTube. I think his name's James Matthews. He is a very talented videographer. There's also another chap called JR Ali on YouTube as well. A very, very amazing editor. I think I'm definitely inspired by their content, just how there's almost no limitation to what they can do. And I love watching just how their mind works when making content and the process that they go through to make that. Even, the smallest details, just like moving lights around or something to do with audio. I find that fascinating. But definitely from a business perspective, definitely Gary V. I think it's like the kick up the arse that we all need sometimes. It grates my gears a lot, but he speaks the truth sometimes, and I just feel like I need that sometimes as a young guy starting out in business. That bit of sort of motivation.
It's
I guess.
so funny because I agree. His content is exactly like that. Like, it does give you that slap that you need sometimes to get on with it. And I can remember I've watched some of his content before, and my missus was just like, I can't stand this dude. And I was like, that's probably because he's so direct, and she doesn't like that type of style of person. She just likes, normal conversations and stuff. So are we going with Gary V?
I don't know if I want to go with him because I seem too generic. I'm gonna go with James Matthews. That's a big one. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Yeah, James Matthews.
James Matthews.
That's what I'm gonna go
if
with.
you send us the link to his YouTube channel, just so we know we've got the right dude, we will send the fresh fans after him, and we will get him on a stream. We will do everything within our power to get him on a stream, and ask him a few questions.
That's cool. I mean, if you can get Gary V on the stream, I would love that. But I think you'd have to pay him to do it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. You never know what's already in the pipeline. It's not Gary V.
Very true.
It's not Gary V. Right. Before we let you go, we have got some questions from chat. We've got a fellow friend in chat called Damien Reed. Damien Reed asks, Damien's a little bit of a YouTuber himself. He's just started out doing a lot of YouTube stuff. He's putting out some videos, that type of thing. He does a lot of it for work. And his question is, I'm creating a video which is 10 to 15 minutes in length for a speaker slot at a DevCon this year. It needs to be informative Essentially, I'm explaining our services and most likely going to include our clients in the video. What would Jack do to make it different and have the wow factor and be authentic?
Great question. What would I do? I'd imagine that this piece of content is going to be shown as part of other pieces of content, perhaps yeah, okay.
Sounds like it.
I would imagine everyone's going to follow the same sort of path. So it's going to be very, very hard sales, very detailed about what you offer, the process that you go through to provide that product or service. I would actually just incorporate maybe a minute or two at the start that is just completely wacky and out there, and it gets people to it's a pattern interrupt. It's making people go, oh, I've sat here for an hour and listened to everybody else. Wow, that's completely different to everything I've just seen for the last
There's
hour.
A cow.
Listen to this guy.
we spoke about a cow.
Maybe
you never know.
Bring a cow.
You want to grab their attention, right? Is that what you're saying, type of thing?
Yeah, that's it. I think you need to grab that attention. I think do your research in terms of what position your piece of content will be in the lineup of content, or if it's a standalone piece, again, just try and capture that engagement at the start. But if you're the 6th or the 5th person in that line after 15-minute videos beforehand, then you can imagine how people are going to be feeling, and they're going to be sold to for an hour. So try and do something a bit different. That might even just be filming it in a completely different way. It might be getting really up close and personal with the camera, or including some fun music or some graphics or something. But just do something to differentiate yourself to everybody else. That's a hard reply, but
no, it's good.
That's
it's
what
good.
I would try and do.
We actually spoke about differentiating last week, and just a tip on how you can differentiate is almost like flipping what they are. So, for example, if they're sales videos about services, what's the opposite of that? Like the opposite of that would be not talking about the services at all and talking about some other random subject, but then have them sprinkled in somewhere. So how you can differentiate is almost looking at what's expected and flipping it on its head, because that's how you are different. Yeah. So that's probably a good way to look at it as well.
Love it. That's a great example.
Damien says, great answer. Thank you very much, Jack. You're welcome, Damien.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome, Damien.
So before we let you go, Jack, thank you so much for being on. But how do people find out a bit more about you and V21? Where can people get the lowdown on you?
Yeah, so I am majority of the time on LinkedIn, so just check me out. It's just Jack Gaisford on LinkedIn. Just search it in the top bar. I'm sure that'll all pop up. If not, the website, www.v21.co.uk. You can give us a buzz there. Yeah, that's the main platforms really. Instagram's another one, Jack Gaisford or V21. They're all the same across every social. So if you want to ask any questions or want to know anything about video content marketing, being creative, whatever it is, then reach out and I'd be more than happy to just give you a couple of free little nuggets. So yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, thank you so much for being here, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
No, thanks.
We could do like a little
thank you.
Stream high five.
Okay,
that's it. That's that way. Yeah. That's it. Just go forward a little bit more.
Ready?
Bang! We got it. First time chat. We did it.
There we go.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Jack. It's been a pleasure to have you on. We'll make sure to check out Jack on LinkedIn. Check out V21. They make some great stuff. We're massive fans of theirs. And thanks for being here, mate. And we shall speak to you very soon.
Awesome.
Cheers, mate.
Well, okay,
cool.
Soon.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, dude. See you later.
Welcome back, Gaz.
Hey, here
mate,
we go.
How cool was that?
I enjoyed.
Oh, Jack, we're still live, mate. You got to mute for us. I'm just talking to Gaz real quick.
Oh, there we go.
It's all good. He loved it. He loves it. He loves it. That was cool, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was great as well hearing, thanks for Damien jumping in the question. We had some action as well from the guys who were joining. I think for me, to hear Jack's opinions on when you started digging a little deeper on how you create authentic content and what are kind of them little nuggets about, being yourself, being your true identity if you can. Really useful stuff. And I hope there's a lot of people out there as well who enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really interesting to meet someone who's gone down a similar route to video and feels like we're super aligned. Maybe we should get gaming together or something. And
Well, there's definitely a gaming bromance going on, I'd say.
Yeah.
I've got to say. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is I find as well about the world of gaming, it's increasingly on the front foot when it comes to live stream and authenticity because, gamers stream a lot and they're technically savvy. And, we look to that community an awful lot for inspiration. And, I suppose that's where you got into streaming essentially as well. So it's definitely connected. And I see a lot of them correlations. People from the gaming world are also interested in editing, and it kind of it's kind of one kind of family, isn't it? That space.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, we've got our next target, Gary V. And that's a big one. And what was the other one? Was it James Matthews?
I did say in chat we will reach out. I've already tweeted Gary V. So if anyone's watching, there's 6 people live right now. Get onto Twitter, tweet Gary V, because if we get him on, shit's gonna get real. So let's go for it.
Shit will get real.
And also, we'll get the other details as well from Jack as well. So we'll send them both them tweets. So I think I put it in the comments before. Just tweet at Gary V. It's time to get fresh on Twitter. And if there's enough of us who make some noise, who knows? It's not beyond the realm of possibility. Given who we've got next as well, it's not beyond the realm of possibility because we've got a genuine celebrity coming up. So the world is your oyster.
Definitely.
Fresh fam.
Fresh fam it is. Fresh fam it is.
Fresh fam. I've got faith.
Well, that pretty much concludes this episode of Fresh Friday. Thank you so much for sticking around. Apologies for the issues we had at the beginning, but it's all resolved now. So
wait up there, Liam. It's not just time yet.
Oh.
If you did tune in last week, we did have a giveaway.
We did have a giveaway.
And I've already done the draw. So if you did jump in last week, we were speaking to Matt Davies, and we do have a copy. It did arrive. Only one copy, though, I must add. We only got one copy in the post, and we did purchase 2. So there's only going to be one winner, unfortunately, until I get another book.
I love the cover of that book.
It's a great book. It's a great book. And to be honest, I don't want to give this one away. I know we were chatting the other week.
It's too late, mate. We've committed.
So it is going. It is going. Drum roll, please.
I need to add a drum roll as a sound.
We do. We do need a drum roll, don't we? And it was Scott Pilkington again.
What, again? Congrats, mate.
He's won again. He's won again. Mr. Scott Pilkington, if you are watching, congratulations. If you're not, I'll make sure that you get this. I think we've got your address because you've won. You've definitely won once. I don't know if you've won twice now. So congratulations to you. Congratulations, Scott. You'll be getting a copy of Story Attager. If you do want it signed, let us know because Matt said he would sign it and write a little message in there for you. So let us know if you want it signed. And we'll get it posted out.
Brilliant. That was cool. That now we can close?
Yeah, we can close. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. It's been great. If you're watching on demand, please continue to get your comments and questions in because we'll speak to Jack after this. And if we get any inquiries, we'll push them that way. And be sure to stay tuned for next week because we've got a very exciting guest coming up. And we're going to keep Fresh Fridays flying.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, and we shall see you next Friday for the next episode of Fresh Friday. Keep it fresh, people.